I am down in the cellar right now, which is the back corner of our basement, and I'm going to work on some wine again. It is not the berry time or time to get fruit off your trees, but we put our fruit in our freezer, and then when I get back from Alaska, then that is when we put it in our pails and we add the yeast, and then we get it working. So I did 2 batches this year. I did one back in August, and then I did another batch at Christmas time. And now this is the batch from Christmas that I am going to bottle out from our workers right now. So behind me you can see the bottles from many years and months of bottling here in Wisconsin. And hope you enjoy a background of how I clean the bottles and recycle the bottles from other people giving them to us, and cleaning off the labels and things like that. Varieties of wine that we're going to bottle through the next few days is early grape, and it's just labeled as early grape because it actually has a few mixtures of grape that we had on our fence. And champagne currant rhubarb is going to be this group here. We have a gallon of peach, and then down here on the floor we also have apple strawberry. So I did do a little difference here as well. I used some sugar that was not, I guess, your standard sugar. It was sugar from Azure Standard, where we get our sugar now from, and so it is a sugar that is pressed out of cane sugar. So we'll have to see how it tastes. Now the wine is what I'd call on a worker, where it's working by eliminating the oxygen in the wine itself, and that does it through a process in which the air releases the oxygen through bubbles, and then it's going to siphon through this system here, and then when it stops bubbling, which is 3 to 4 months, then you can bottle it out. The water that is inside there that you can see, that prevents any oxygen coming back through, and then it comes around. So when you first put this on here, you can just watch it, and every few seconds it just keeps bubbling up and bubbling up on there. Now years back when I would do this, I would just use a cork, and I would drill out a cork because the cork didn't have a hole in, and then I would put a tube in the cork, and then the cork would go, or the tube would go into a jar that had water in it, and then I had a reason then to use fire as well. Then I'd melt wax on top of the cork to seal it off so no oxygen would go through between the cork and the plastic. But now here through the last years, actually many years now, 20-ish years, I've been using this newer style, and where the cork is already pre-drilled, and then you have a nice plastic thing that you just slide in there, add a little water, so you're not working with any fire or any candles to melt down the wax. Here's the drawer that has all the different size rubber stoppers in with the holes in, and the farthest to the right would be those that are the biggest, so yeah, that I have, working all the way down to little ones. And it all depends on what jars you have and where you get them from, what the opening is to, but they all have the same thing, in which every one of these will fit on the bottom of this guy here, and then you can add your water. But yeah, they go all the way down to really tiny, all the way up to a really big guy, all depending on what you're working with. Here is a double sink. I really like this sink because I can soak my bottles that are again recycled from other people. Here's a bottle that someone has returned to me that I must have already cleaned off. Here's another one, but I am just cleaning them. And then here's one that someone gave that didn't have the label off. And so what I will do then is I take a sharp knife and I will just take off the label with pressing on, and then just take it off like so. Scrape it, and then use just a little wool, I guess, a little cleaner on it, and now that side's clean. And then the other knife that I have here is used then to take off the top, and now the top is off. So if I actually go back and clean off the back side, and as you're cleaning these, you'll get used to different labels come off easier than others. So this one actually came off really easy. And clean that up. Gather your trash. And then rinse it. So this one is going to be all set to get new wine put in. Except there'll be one more thing to do though. I will use a one-step cleaner yet, in which when I get rid of the bottle, which might be tonight or tomorrow, then I'll use a one-step cleaner, which I put it in there and just shake it around, rinse it out, and that makes sure it's all nice and clean inside. Right now it's just hot water, and then it's ready to be bottled. As it fills up, I will then eventually pull out the tube, and then that takes the space back down needed to make it fill just right. And then this little thing here, this little button here goes, you can see that, sprays it out then, so when it hits the bottom, it allows the liquid to come through. And if I lift it, now it stopped because it's not pushing the bottom up. Put it back down, it continues. And now I tilt my bottle, try and get the last out, and whew, that's going to be good enough for that bottle.
What are you bottling?
This one here we're bottling is apple strawberry.
Oh.
So you can put this in the right side of the sink.
Okay.
Got it?
But wait, on the side?
This side.
Wait, but all the bottles are blocking that side.
Oh, yeah, they didn't put it on the other side. So as you can see, using a smaller jar in the final worker, because that other big one was a 3-gallon. This is probably like half-gallon. You gotta use something, otherwise you can't use a 5-gallon, then you have way too much open space above the wine, and that wouldn't be good. So now you have the issues that I'm working with here.